On.
Awesome. Do you want to spotlight Tessa?
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us.
We are just going to let a few minutes for people to get into the webinar. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Kid Made Modern with Michaels and Studio Jane. Her real name's Tessa, but her business is Studio Jane. Everyone likes to call her Jane after a while.
Yep.
Just so everyone knows as they're getting in the room, I'll repeat this a couple times, but this is a webinar, so we will have the Q&A open. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A, or if you want to share anything, put it in the Q&A as well. We can't see you or hear you, but you'll be able to see Tessa. I hope everyone is excited for the 4th of July weekend. We're excited to do a 4th of July craft with you.
Yes, I'm so excited to craft with you guys today.
Awesome, awesome. I think we're almost there today. Slowly coming in. Again, my name is Lori. I'm with Kid Made Modern. We're so excited to be celebrating the 4th of July weekend coming up. It's very exciting. With Michael's classes and Tessa here from Studio Jane. We're so excited to have craft with you. If you guys saw the picture on the invitation on Michael's website, we're going to be making really cute pennants, which Tessa will get into in a minute. Also, just as people are joining one more time here, I'll let you guys know, this is a webinar. So the Q&A is open. If you have questions, I'll be here to moderate the session. And so we can ask Tessa questions through that. But the chat is closed and we cannot see you or hear you, just a heads up. So, all right, I think we are slowing down. So Tessa, if you'd like to get started. Hi, Mara. I'm going to say hi to the people who are saying hi real quick. And Fox.
Yes.
And Antara, if I'm saying your name right, Paige and Mara. Hi, guys. Welcome. All right,
Hi, everyone. All right. Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today for our 4th of July craft. We're going to be making these little pennants today. They are made of felt with a little paper backing on them. So I'm going to go through all the supplies first, and then we'll get started. So our first thing we're going to be using is some construction paper. So I just have a piece of red here. In the samples, I used a piece of brown. You can also just use a piece of computer paper or a brown paper bag, even a paper plate will work. And then we're going to be using some felt. So we've got all different colors of felt. And these little felt strips, they come in little strips like this from the Kid Made Modern Arts and Crafts Library. But if you have bigger pieces of felt, that's fine. We're going to cut them into smaller strips than this. And then we're going to be using some little wooden craft sticks or popsicle sticks. These ones are already dyed in our Arts and Crafts Library, but you can use any color you want, or you can paint them as well. You can also use like a paper straw or a wooden skewer if you don't have any little popsicle sticks. And then we're also going to be using fuzzy sticks. So fuzzy sticks or pipe cleaners. These are fun little metallic ones that we're going to use today. And we're going to be using those to spell out the word July, as well as how to make a little star out of fuzzy sticks. So I use the metallic ones, but you can use any color that you want. Even just a regular color, not metallic, is fine as well. And then lastly, if you want to add extra details to yours, you can easily add in some fun little colorful wooden beads, pom-poms or sequins. Any of those are fun little details if you want to add, like I did wooden beads on the handle of this one, or you can always add more details to the flag itself. So any other supplies that you want to add, you definitely can.
Hey, Tess, a quick question. Yeah. If they don't have felt, do you have a substitute that you think that they could use?
Yeah, if you don't have felt today, your best option is going to be using other colors of construction paper. So we're going to be cutting everything into little strips you can see here. So you can definitely use just different color construction paper, or you can also just use paper and markers or paint. So you can draw or color in stripes as well. So you don't have to have felt today. It just gives it a different texture on the background of it, but you can definitely use paper or crayons, markers, paint, anything like that will also work to make your backdrop. And then lastly, just a couple of tools that we're going to be using. I'm going to use a black marker just to show you guys how to draw out the little pennant shape on your paper. But again, you can use any crayon or marker that you want, a ruler, a pair of scissors, and then also some glue. So I'm just using this Kid Made Modern white glue. It will take a little longer for that to dry when we're using felt. So you can also use a hot glue if you're crafting with an adult today. I have my little hot glue gun here in case, but the white glue will work. It just, again, is going to take a little longer for everything to dry with fabric. So if you're using paper, then the white glue will definitely work fine. But if you're using felt, once we put it all together, we're just going to let it sit and dry before we are able to carry it around and use it as a decoration for 4th of July weekend. All right, so I think that's everything we're going to be using. So I'm going to flip my camera around so you guys can see, and we'll get started. All right, so here's our little samples here. And our first step is going to be making the flag shape. Let me move a couple of things out of the way here. And you can make your little flag any shape you want. If you want to make yours square or round or any, just a sign, you can definitely do that. This is what's called a pennant style flag, and it's a traditional shape. So we're going to do this. It's basically a really tall little triangle you can see there. And then we'll just move it to the side. So to make our triangle pennant, what we're going to do, I'm using a piece of 8.5 by 11 construction paper. So just to give you an idea of how big ours are, but you can again make it bigger or smaller if you have different size paper. So I'm just going to take this paper and then take my ruler, and I'm going to put it starting in the bottom corner. I'm going to line up my ruler in the bottom corner and then just hold it at a diagonal all the way across my paper. And then I'm going to take my marker and draw a line all the way across. So you can kind of see I have a diagonal line starting in one corner and moving over to about the middle of my paper. And then from there, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to take my ruler, move it over to the other corner. Actually, I'm going to make this, you can go all the way over to the corner and make it a little bit bigger, or you can come in a little bit. I'm going to come in about 2 inches from the edge of my paper just to make it a little bit of a more narrow flag, and then line up the top of my ruler with the other end of my line. And then draw a line. So now I have this long little triangle here. And again, you can do this as many sizes as you want. I'll flip this over and show you guys one more time. So I'm just starting from one end of my paper. Take your ruler. I like to start in one corner just so you can kind of get a good idea of where your diagonal line is going to go. So starting with my ruler in one corner down here, and then going to carry it all the way up to the center of my paper. And then take your marker or your pencil and draw a line. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other end. So I'm going to hold my ruler, line it up at the point here. And then I'm just going to kind of eyeball it to make sure that it's about the same width on both sides here. Again, I'm coming in about 2 inches from the other corner of my paper, and then just bring my marker all the way down. And you can, again, make this bigger or smaller. So if you want to make it a little bit thinner, you can. It's totally up to you. All right. So then once you draw out your triangle here, we're going to cut it out. I'm just going to cut right along my lines here with my scissors. And we are going to be covering this up, whether you're using felt like I am, or if you are going to be using paper, or even just markers or paint to draw in your striped pattern. we're going to cover all this paper up. So if you messed up your lines, don't worry about that at all. You'll never see them. Okay. So now you can see we've got our triangle. If you turn it this way, just as a really tall little triangle, turn it this way. Now we've got our little pennant flag. All right. So our next step is going to be covering this in felt. So with our felt little stripes here, again, we're using these little stripes that come in these lengths of about 6 inches by 2 inches. And then we're going to cut these down further. So if you're using bigger pieces of felt, that's totally fine. You can cut them into any size strips that you want to use. And we're going to start on our largest size and then move our way down. And so to do that, we're going to take our felt, and we might need to use more pieces to butt up next to one another if you're using little strips like I am, or you can just cut your felt all the way. So I'm going to cut this first strip down a little bit. I'm just going to cut this in half lengthwise. And then I'm going to flip this over and taking my white glue, get this guy to come out here. You get a little too much like I did, just spread it around a little bit. And again, you can also use hot glue, or if you are using glue dots, that will work as well. So put a little bit of glue on the back. Really all you need is a little bit along the edges, so you can outline it with the glue. And then I'm going to flip this over, and lining up in the corner, and along the edge, I'm going to paste that down. And it's okay, like this edge you can see here is falling off the edge of my paper, but at the end, we'll go back through and cut all those edges off. And again,
hey, Tessa, I mentioned to go a little bit slower. They're they need some time for cutting, just so everyone knows, though, we are having this recorded. So you will be able to check it out on the Michael's website tomorrow if you missed a step, but we'll be going, there's a few times that we'll be doing the same exact step that Tessa's doing right now as well.
Absolutely, yes, we can definitely slow down, make sure you guys can catch up and cut out all of your little triangles here. All right, so I'm going to add on a little bit of glue on this piece. And again, like Lori said, we are going to cover this whole front with little strips of felt, so you guys can see how we're doing this and then add in or catch up as you are ready to move on to the next step. So for this little top piece, I just pushed it right against my first piece that I laid down. And then that way it is going to, once it dries, you won't even notice there's a little seam there. And I'm just going to press it back from the back as well. Again, with the white glue and the felt, it just takes a moment for it to dry. So you can just leave it, let it be while we finish putting all of our felt on, and then we can go back around and cut off any bits that we need to. All right. So we're going to do the same thing here. And I'm going to cut these into different size strips. You see here, I just cut like a little skinny strip. I might leave this one a little bit thicker. And looking at our samples, they all range in different size strips to just make a fun little pattern. In this sample too, we have a little scalloped edge as well. And we can cut that out a little bit later too, so you guys can see how to make that if you want to do a version of that on yours. Okay, so as I'm cutting down with some strips here, just going to put a little bit of glue on the back again. If your strips are skinnier like this one, I'm just going to put a little stripe of glue right down the middle of it rather than the whole border. And then again, we're going to line up the bottom of our little strip against the edge. So if the front of your strip is hanging off, that's okay. We're going to come back and trim all that off. And then as you glue it, I'm just pressing it into the piece next to it. And then just holding it down for a moment or two. It's not going to dry entirely, but it just helps it kind of adhere so you can move it around a little bit. Okay, so to finish off this top piece, I'm going to go ahead and cut another strip about the same size. And then we'll be able to put that there, trim this down. So I'm just trimming it as I go to make sure that when I put these next to each other and line them up, that they'll line up perfectly and you won't even notice that there's two pieces put together. And I'm just going to trim that off and again put a little strip of glue.
So if they have a hot glue gun with them and they have obviously an adult helping them, that's fine to use as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a hot glue gun here as well. If you guys want to see attaching a strip with a hot glue gun, I can do that. So for our next strip, we'll do the same thing. So we'll cut the strip in half. And then you're gonna do the same thing with a hot glue gun. So I'm just gonna take my hot glue gun on this strip here, and then I'm just going to do a little border or a couple little stripes on either side is all you need. You can see there. And then we're gonna do the same thing as we did with the others, pressing it right up against the previous felt and then just pressing it down. The great thing about using hot glue with felt or any fabric is that it dries really fast. So you don't have to worry about anything moving. Like if I wanted to, these strips that I put down with the white glue, I could probably pull them off still, where this hot glue, that's going to take the paper off with me. So once you put the hot glue down, it is set, but the craft glue or white glue gives you a little bit of time to move it around, which is nice. But also you just have to keep that in mind to let it dry. And then do the same thing. I'm just going to cut this down a little bit. So for this little edge, if you have to fill in any little bits like this, like I do, all you can have to do is just put a little bit of glue right where the paper is. That way the hot glue doesn't stick to my surface. And then take my little strip and just press it right on top. That way there's no hot glue on the back of this felt and we can easily cut that off.
Someone doesn't have fuzzy sticks and they're asking what they can use instead for the stars. I was thinking pom-poms or even paper would work for that, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can just do little pom-poms. Like we've got these fun little pom-poms. Instead of a star, you could just put pom-poms, or even these little, let me find some here. These little stars or flower shaped sequins. If you have any of those in your craft supplies, or just sequins in general, those would be cute instead of little stars. Or you can cut star shapes out of paper or felt or fabric. You could use a different texture paper. So maybe if you're using construction paper instead of felt, you could maybe use a paper plate or something like that, just to make them look a little bit thicker. And so that way you have different materials to give different textures like we're using here, but just a little different. And again, for this pennant that we did here, we spelled out the word July using the fuzzy sticks, which I'm going to show you guys how to do. But you can also just do a word, or you can just do stars, or you can just do stripes and not add any extra details either. So you could easily just cover your pennant in paper or felt stripes and call it a day. So maybe yours might be a little bit simpler, but it'll still be really cute and festive for the 4th of July. All right.
Pieces of felt is this requiring?
How many pieces of felt? If you're using these little strips, we're going to be using probably about 6 to 8, depending on how big your little pennant is. But if you're using larger pieces of felt, you probably only need 1 or 2, to be honest. But if you want to mix and match different colors like we are, then we're using 4 different shades in total. So 2 different shades of blue and then a white and a red. But yeah, if you're using these little strips, you're probably going to need at least 6, maybe 8.
If they don't have enough felt, they could use paper to substitute, correct?
Absolutely. Or even like this, you could do a couple strips of felt and then leave gaps of your paper showing. So here's my paper in the background. And if you're using a different color paper, that's fine. You can use plain white or any color will still work. And you can just do smaller strips and leave paper gaps in between. You could always draw little stars in between on your paper or color it in with paint or markers. So yeah, you can definitely mix and match all different materials. All right, so then if you want to keep cutting felt, again, you can cut them in all different sizes, really skinny strips or wider strips. And then as you get closer to the ends here, your little strip of felt will cover the whole width of it. So then you can just cut it into strips and then glue it right on. Again, don't worry about all your jagged edges like we have going on up here. We're going to cut it all off at the end. So you can, again, with a hot glue gun, if you're using one today, I'm just going to do 2 strips of glue on either end or either side here. And I'm just leaving the ends open. It's going to attach fine, and then that way we'll be able to easily trim it off. And then just push your felt against the one that you laid down previously. So you can see we're about halfway done with our felt strips here. You can also overlap them if your felt strips or your paper strips if you want to add different texture. So there's no wrong way to do it. Again, just going back to some regular white glue as well, depending on what kind of glue or adhesive you're using at home. Put that straight down and then just press it down. You can also use glue dots, like I said. So glue dots are definitely a mess-free option. They're a quick option if you don't have a lot of time to craft, to clean up and pull out supplies. So if you have those handy, those can work out really well too. Again, you can cut all your little strips into any sizes that you want. So you're just going to keep layering all your different little stripes next to one another. And if you aren't using as many colors, if you just maybe have 2 colors today instead of all these different ones, just do every other stripe or as a different color will still give you a really good striped pattern. All right, so we're continuing down here, and I'm not going in any particular pattern. As you can see here, I've got dark blue, white, red, and then I switched to a light blue, kind of jumping them back and forth between all the different colors. So I think that you can definitely do that. It's totally up to you if you want to have a really structured pattern or if you want to just be a little loose with a pattern like I am. That's what's fun. And even our couple samples that we have here, they're both totally different. This one doesn't even have red felt in it. So you can do all red and white if you want, or all blue. They'll all look adorable. All right, continuing down here. And we're almost done covering our pennant. And then we can move on to decorating it, which is always my favorite part. I always feel like doing this backdrop or these portions, it's kind of just setting up the structure for your craft. And then you get to have the fun of adding all the fun little details like beads and sequins or doodles, and do all sorts of different cute little details. You can see we just got a little teeny tip of our pennant left. And I think we'll finish that off with red. So for this little edge, since there's not very much, I'm just going to put a little glue directly on the paper and then layer my felt right on top.
Yeah, so some of our kids here, they have some suggestions and some tips for us.
Oh, good. Yeah, please share.
Mara was saying if you do paper, that she suggests putting a pipe cleaner on the back. That I think would be smart either way. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, that is a great idea.
And then another one said a good tip for you if you don't have enough red, white, or blue felt, you can always use the other colors of felt, but put red, white, or blue construction paper over the different color of felt.
Oh, that's a really smart idea. That way you can still have it be the same thickness and everything, but then add in some different colors. That's a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. Good job, everyone.
All right, so now that we've covered the whole front, this looks a little wonky. We've got all sorts of funny little edges sticking up every which way and doesn't look like our banner at all. But all you're gonna do is flip it over and take your scissors, and we're gonna cut right along the edge of your paper. So if you are still gluing, or if you feel like your glue is really wet still, then you might wanna wait a moment to make sure that it dries. If you use glue dots or hot glue, it'll dry immediately. But even these ones here that I started with that are white glue, they're adhered enough that we can trim them and that they're not going to fall off. All right, so then just take your scissors and just slowly trim right along the edge of your paper cutout. If you cut the paper a little bit, don't worry about that at all. You won't be able to notice. Just edit your edges. As long as you have nice, clean, smooth edges, then it's going to look great. So if you cut a little bit of the paper down, that'll be fine. And then just switch to the other side. So again, just cutting the little triangle point and then just cutting all along the edge of my paper. And then you can flip it over. And like magic, all of your edges are clean. You've got nice, perfect stripes, and it looks like a little pennant shape. And all you did was cut away all those crazy little scraps of felt, and then you have nice, clean edge. So I think that's a great technique that if you're making anything in a shape, you can cover it with different pieces of paper or felt or fabric, and then just flip it over and cut along those edges to cut away all the extras instead of trying to make all your edges line up before they're glued down. Sometimes that can be really tricky to measure it and get the right angle. This is a really quick way to get nice clean edges on all of your crafts. And then you have all these little scraps left over. You can always hang on to these. It's always nice. You can easily cut little straws or stars or polka dots out of these if you wanted to add more little felt details on yours, or save them for another project. All those little scraps come in handy. All right, so if you are ready to move on to our next step, we are going to go ahead and decorate it. So to make, we're going to do the word July like we did here. And then I'll also show you how to make a couple little stars. But to make a word with the fuzzy sticks, they're really easy to bend, so you can bend them in any shape you want. They all bend up, they've got nice little wire in them. But to make a nice little letter, you're just going to bend them into whatever letter you want. So we've got our little J here for July. It's just like that. I bent it into a little kind of fish hook shape at the bottom. And then we'll take another one and make it into a U. So I'm going to start in the middle and just bend both ends up to line up at the top here. And then if you don't bend it enough, it'll be really wide. So just bend it a little more than you think you'll need to, and it will hold it as a tighter bend to make your little letter. So we got a U. And then for an L, we're going to, similar to the J, but going the opposite direction. So a little less than halfway down or halfway up, I'm going to go ahead and make a little curve here. And for this, I'm going to cut that down so that it's the same height as the U, but you can definitely leave that longer if you want to. And the fuzzy sticks are really easy to cut as well. So just with a regular pair of scissors, you can cut them down if you need to.
Feel free, everyone. If there's something different that you would like to put on your pennant rather than just July, you can put your name. You could put any your favorite word, whatever you would like to have is super fun. Make that your own creation. That's super important.
Absolutely. I think that's great tip, Lori. Yeah, if you want to spell something else on yours, maybe your last name to put it in front of your house, or if you're maybe not even making this for 4th of July, but you want to give it to a gift or for someone's birthday, any of those options are going to be great. So definitely feel free to make it your own. And then again, you can really bend these into any letter shape. You might need to do a couple together or glue them together like we will with the Y. So I'll show you that here. So the Y, I'm just going to bend this and fold it totally next to one another, trim that. So now I have like a little V. And then I'll be able to use this extra bit as the bottom of my Y. So I'm going to cut this down a little.
So all the supplies that you're using today, are they from our arts and crafts supply library?
Yeah, everything is from the arts and crafts library. The only thing that's not included is the construction paper on the back.
Awesome, guys. Just so you know, this is from all the supplies that she's using today that you see there, except for the construction papers from Kid Made Modern Arts and Crafts Supply Library, which is available at Michael's, just a heads up.
Yeah, it comes with everything, even these little like pom-poms, or have all these little like sequins that are fun as little additions as well. All of these are, I just pulled out specifically red, white, and blue options, but there's tons of other colors too. So if you want to remake this craft for different holidays or just because, then you can do them in any color that you want. Okay, so if you, once you're done bending all your letters, we're going to go ahead and glue them down. So to do that, I'm going to take my white glue here again. If you're using a hot glue gun, again, this part, these little fuzzy sticks are really narrow, so they don't need a lot of glue on them, but you definitely want to make sure that you're only using glue on the like along the top edge or bottom corners and away from anywhere where your fingers are holding them. But again, white glue will work as well. It just, my reminder that it takes a little longer to dry. So once you place it, just go ahead and let it sit. So I just put a little bit of glue along the back, and then we're just going to press it right into our felt. I'm going to press it and hold it for a moment, especially with these materials. Sometimes the fuzzy stick and the felt just takes a little longer for it to kind of absorb the glue. You can also use glue dots for this. You might just need to kind of fold the glue dot on itself on the back of your fuzzy stick. And that'll work. I'll show you also how to do one with a hot glue gun if you're crafting with an adult, just so you can get an idea of where you should put the glue to keep it away from your hands.
So can you explain again one more time how you did the Y?
Yeah, here, I'll do another one. Let's move this aside real quick. So to do the Y, do it in this blue so you guys can really see it. So these short little fuzzy sticks, they're only about 6 inches or so long. So I'm just going to bend the edge here and then bend it straight on itself. And then I'm going to cut it there so that it's even. So now I have this little piece that looks like a V. And now I have this extra piece off of it. So if you want to, you can always attach these by bending them together like that. So all I did was take my little edge, put it right in the middle of the V, and then bend the fuzzy stick around the other one. Or for this one, since I'm going to glue it down, I just have 2 separate pieces. I'm just going to glue them down to push up right next to each other, and you'll never know that they aren't attached. Do you guys want to see again or another letter? If we have any other letters or questions, I can definitely make another one.
I think
and again, you can
at this point. Thanks, Tessa.
Yeah. And again, you can use any color you want. So if those ones are just showing blue, red or gold, and even just a regular fuzzy stick. So these ones are not metallic, but those ones will work as well and be super cute. So you don't have to use a metallic if you don't have it.
Tessa, will you go through the stars on your next one?
Yeah, absolutely. Here, let me glue these guys down real quick, and then we'll move on to add a couple stars to it. So I'll show you
for a lot of different letters, but I don't know if we're trying to do all the letters of the alphabet. So we're just going to show you the July today, but feel free to play around. Pipe cleaners are very, or as we call them, fuzzy sticks, are very forgiving. So if you change it one way, you can always change it back.
Yes, I always like to, you can really twist it all up if you want to, and then just straighten it back out, run it through your fingers a couple times, and you'll basically be able to get it back into a nice straight line. So if you mess up a letter, just straighten it back out and you'll be able to create any letter you want. For anything rounded, then it's just going to be really easy to make it round. And then again, if you're gluing them, I just would glue that in place. So you can do little circles or anything like that as well. You can also make these into all different shapes. I will show you how to do little stars in just a second, but any other shapes you want to do, you can easily bend them into those. Okay, I'm going to show you real quick. For those of you that know a couple people were using a hot glue gun, I just want to show you how to do this safely and easily. So I'm going to hold my letter in this bottom corner, and I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue right along the edge, the top edge, and this bottom edge. So my fingers are like an inch or more away from the hot glue, and then can easily set it down and just kind of tap it in place, and it will stick. So you don't need a whole lot of hot glue, and it will hold on just fine. And that way you can feel safe about gluing down small items without burning your fingers. Also, I always recommend a low temp hot glue gun. Even if you're crafting with an adult, it's great to use those just to be on the safe side. So again, I just put a tiny little bit of glue on that, and then I can press that straight in. And now, even though that Y is 2 separate pieces, once it's all glued together, you can't even tell. All right, so now we've got our July word down. We're going to move on to show you how to make a little star. So to do a star, we're going to start at the top here. We're going to bend this sort of in half first. And then I'm going to come down to the other half of the one side. Bend it up. I'm twisting these into the shape. So I'm just kind of pinching them as I go. So now I'm going to do this a couple times so you guys can see. Again, you can bend this into as many different little shapes as you want. Basically, we're just folding all the pieces onto itself to make a little star. Okay, I'm going to do that again. I know it's a lot of little steps. I'll do it really slow. Okay, so I'm gonna take my little fuzzy stick again. These little pieces are only about 6 inches long. So if you're using a really long one, you can follow the same steps. It's just gonna make a bigger star, but you can cut these down, cut these long ones in half. Okay, so I'm gonna take my 2 ends, and line them up at the bottom and bend this to make a little point at the top. So now I have this little triangle shape, and then come down about halfway on one side and bend it upward at an angle. And then we're gonna do the same with the other one. So go down about halfway and bend it up. And now I'm gonna pinch all 3 of these little corners that I've made. And now I have these little arms sticking out. And that's it. You can trim any extra long bits, like this little arm's a little long. So once you tighten all your little edges, then it looks like a little star. So again, we'll do this with a little red one. Okay, so taking your fuzzy stick, you're gonna fold it in half. Separate out your edges. So we've got a little point at the top and our 2 little legs here. And then come down to about halfway and bend that up. So you can see now this is overlapping on the other side. And now do the same thing on the other side. So at the halfway point, start to bend it up. And then you're just going to squeeze all the little points you made, and then just bend your little arms out. And trim any extra long pieces to make your little star look nice and even. What do you think, Lori? Do we have more questions? Should I do another one?
Why don't you do one more star for everyone? I know that's a little bit of a harder one.
All right, we'll do one more star here. So we're gonna go ahead and again, take your fuzzy stick. I'm gonna fold it in half. So lining up my 2 ends on one side and fold at the top. So now again, we've got a little point at the top and 2 little legs of our fuzzy stick. And now halfway on one side, I'm going to fold it upward. So it's almost like you're going to fold it in half again, but just don't go all the way up. And then do the same thing on the other side. See, I bent that one a little too low. So fold it halfway and then up. So this is how it kind of looks at first. It sort of looks like a star shape, but not quite right. So all you do is just go ahead and pinch all of your little sides and it flattens it out. And once it's all pinched, it holds it in place. So you don't have to worry about that. And then you can just trim any little edges of your other pieces. And so you can make as many little stars as you want. Again, if you're using bigger or longer fuzzy sticks, you can do one longer. It's just going to be a bigger star. So we can do one with this one here. So again, fold it in half. And then come halfway down, fold it up. And then on the other side, fold it up. And then just start to kind of pinch all of your edges together. And then bend your little arms out.
If you're crafting along with us today, I put into the chat the 2 hashtags we would love to see and have you share your creations today. So make sure to, if you post a pic, tag hashtag make Michael's classes and hashtag make it with Michael's as well. That is in the chat if you want to check it out.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. So if you've made a little stars or if you're using pom-poms or sequins or anything else, you can attach them on. So again, you just do a little dot of hot glue or a little dot of white glue and glue them right on wherever you might want one. And you can do as many of those as you want. If you want to do cover your whole front of it with little stars or little shapes, you can. All right, so then our last step is going to be attaching our little sticks on the side to make a little handle. And to do that, we're going to use 3 different little popsicle sticks or wooden craft sticks here. You can use less of them. This just makes it really sturdy. You can see here on our samples, we've got one going up the side, a connector in the middle, and then one up down further. So I'll show you how to put all those together. So to do that, you can again take either craft glue or hot glue. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on about a little less than half of it, and then take a second wooden craft stick and overlap it. And then we're going to take our third wooden craft stick here and do the same thing. So add glue to about a little less than half of it. And we'll do it on the other end of the wooden craft stick. So that way all 3 are connected. This just makes a long handle. So if you're using a wooden skewer or a paper straw, or making your own out of cardboard, then you might not want to make yours as long. You could definitely attach just one as well. So if you just attached one little popsicle stick here, you can do that. It's just going to be a little bit of a shorter handle, but that will work as well. So let's do that again real quick. With a hot glue gun for those of you that are using one. So you can do the same steps. Put hot glue on a little less than half of it, and then press the 2 wooden craft sticks together. And then on the same craft stick, I'm just going to go up to put on the other end and press the 3rd one into it. So that kind of creates this little gap here where they're overlapping. And there's 3 all put together.
So someone's asking if they can use pipe cleaners for the handle. I think they could, but they would have to glue it, double it up to have it thick enough to hold the pennant, correct?
Yeah, you can definitely use them. They might be a little bit flimsy, so they're just not going to be as strong. So yeah, you could definitely put a couple together. Could always maybe take a couple and twist them together.
Oh, good idea.
Give you a little more color in there too. And that might make them a little bit stronger. Okay, so then to attach this, we're going to flip over our pennant, and then taking some glue, I'm going to put on the back of one whole wooden craft stick here, and then attach it to the back. So I like making this longer so that it can kind of go up the whole edge of this to keep your pennant nice and strong. So that way it holds it up on the end here instead of this back flopping over. So it will still kind of wave like a little flag here. You've got a nice little handle. You can easily stick in the dirt if you want to put it out front or in a vase, or you can hold it if you're going to be outside or use it as party decor. And then lastly, if you want to add any other little details, like here we did little beads on the handle, you can definitely do something like that. So you would just go ahead and glue those on. You can also do sequins. So maybe you want to do little sequins going down a handle instead. That would be really cute, or little pom-poms. All of those would be really fun. Maybe a mixture of them. You can even wrap a fuzzy stick. So if you want to take a fuzzy stick and you can wrap it around the bottom. So give a little extra pizzazz on the bottom of your handle there. So if you want to add some little beads here, you can just take some glue. You can always, again, use white glue, or you can use hot glue. I'm just going to put some glue going all the way down the whole handle since it doesn't dry really fast. And then I'm going to take my beads and just press them right into my glue. So this is the last step. So if you're decorating your handles, then this is going to be our last step, since this will take a little longer to dry for our wooden beads. And I'm just kind of going back and forth between a red bead and a blue bead. And I'm switching up the different sizes, like some are really tiny, some are more square. Or again, you can use all different styles of beads or sequins. Any of them will be fun. And just layering them all next to each other.
Tessa's putting on the beads. If you want to check out more of Tessa's creations, she is quite the crafter, everyone. You can check her out on Instagram at Shop Studio Jane. Also, for your pictures, if you're hashtagging Michael's classes and Make It with Michael's, make sure to also tag at Kid Made Modern and Michael's stores so we all can see your beautiful creations.
Yes, please. We always love to see everything you guys make. So fun to see the different ideas you come up with and turn it into your own craft, which is my favorite part of crafting with you guys. How creative you all are, and give me tons of ideas of stuff to make next time. All right, so again, I just lined up all my little beads here in glue. And since that glue is wet, we're gonna let that sit and dry. And as soon as it's dry, your little pennant is complete. And just like that, your little 4th of July pennant banner is ready. If you're going to go to a parade or the beach or wherever you're going to celebrate this weekend, you can take this with you or put it out front. And your little patriotic craft is done.
Awesome. They're a really fun photo prop as well. If you're having any sort of gathering, that could be really cute.
That's a great idea. Yeah, you could easily turn these into a fun little thing to smile with and pose with. So you can't go wrong. There's something to do for all of them. And now you guys know how to make one. So you can easily make them for every holiday, or they're fun for a little idea for a sporting event or a birthday party. So thanks so much for crafting with us today. And then later this month, we'll be back and we're going to be making little tents. So I don't know about you guys, but I am a big camper. So we're going to be making these fun, tiny little tents that are fun for summer, little summer crafts. So come back and join us later this month to make some little camp tents. And thanks so much. Happy 4th of July, guys.
Awesome. Yeah, that's on the 22nd of July. Make sure to check out Michael's to see that. Thanks so much, Tessa. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Bye, guys.